Yeah. Welcome to a new episode of Mark My Words with me, your host, Mark Gunnels, live from the Good News Sports Station in Los Angeles, California. Very, very sunny Los Angeles, California. You know, the studio's being renovated right now. A lot of things going on. I have Keith, Good News, flipping me off in front of me. It's crazy. It's beautiful. But a lot of things to get into today. Obviously, week 8 of the NFL football season is upon us. We had a Thursday night game last night. It wasn't really a great game, to be honest with you, but it was at least two marquee teams with two marquee quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson. So obviously, it had a lot of sexiness to the matchup, if you would. And NBA, I mean, we're a weekend now. Obviously, it's still very, very early in the NBA season. Too early to make strong proclamations on how it's going to go. But with that being said, I think we can say the Lakers right now, as currently constructed, they are cooked. They are. Unless they make a trade, this team is not getting any better. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But NFL, last night, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. I'm going to say right now, Tom Brady is not the same Tom Brady. I think we can all admit that. I mean, there was a lot of throws he missed. There were 4 drop picks in that game. He doesn't look interested. Obviously, has a lot of things going on with the divorce and things of that nature. So he is clearly not focused right now. And I'm going to say this. If it continues to go this way, they may not make the playoffs. And that is a big statement considering the division they are in, because their division is the worst in football. I mean, the winner of the Falcons and Panthers game this Sunday will be in first place in that division. Think about that. Before the year, it was all about the Saints and the Bucks. But this Sunday, the winner of Panthers Falcons will be in first place in the NFC North. Wow. Who would have thought that 8 weeks into the season? Nobody. So, but at the same time, that is the Bucks and Tom Brady's only saving grace that they are in that division. Because 7 or 8 wins could be enough to win the NFC South. Seriously, not even joking. So that is something to monitor. But obviously, Tom Brady and Giselle have agreed to a divorce. It's not really our business, but it's public information. It's out there. Obviously, 2 celebrities, it's going to happen like that. News is going to get spread. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I wish them the best and their kids and everybody involved. On the other side, the Baltimore Ravens. I still wasn't impressed. Now, they did look better in the second half. Their run game looked really good, but everybody is running on the Bucks right now. Everybody. I mean, even the Chiefs nearly had 200 yards rushing against them. And we know the Chiefs are not a run-heavy team at all. They're the complete opposite, actually. Chiefs fans beg Andy Reid to run the ball more. So there's that. But, the Ravens, they're always going to be limited, right? Because their scheme with Greg Roman, he doesn't open up the offense. He doesn't understand, or he doesn't utilize the route concepts to the best of his ability for the receivers. He handicaps Lamar as a passer because their offense is so condensed and with heavy personnel and the read option and things of that nature, right? So There's only so much you can get out of that. There's no reason why Lamar Jackson should be having barely over 200-yard passing yard games or even under 200 yards in some games, right? That should never, never be the case, but it is. I mean, if you look back in college, that's not what it was with Lamar. It was a spread offense, 4 or 5 wide receiver sets, right? Like that was a thing. That was a thing. But it's not right now. It's simply not. And until that changes, this team would not be a serious threat to make the Super Bowl in the AFC, especially when you have the two juggernauts up top in the Chiefs and the Bills. Those two teams are clearly the cream of the crop, and then it's everybody else. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Dolphins, right? The Titans or Colts, whoever you got winning that division. So it is what it is. And when you have Demarcus Robinson getting quality snaps and being one of your top targets in a game, and he played well, but big picture wise, that's not going to get it done when you play against better teams. And don't forget, the Bucks were banged up in their secondary. They were missing 3 or 4 starters. So it's not like they were full, because they weren't. So that's something to monitor. Week 8, Sunday of week 8. Couple of good matchups. It's not a great slate by any stretch of the imagination. But, there are some pretty good games. You have the Cardinals and Vikings. Could be a sneaky good game. Obviously, Rams, Niners is probably the game of the week. The Niners are actually favored by 1.5 in LA, even though it's going to be more 49er fans there. And then Sunday night, I mean, as far as name value, this matchup is intriguing, but in actuality, the Bills should blow out the Packers, right? They're 11-point favorites. I would imagine this is the biggest point spread against an Aaron Rodgers team in his career. 11 points against Aaron Rodgers. That just shows you the state of the Packers right now. It's bad. It's really, really bad. Their offense is very stagnant. The receivers can't catch. Aaron Rodgers keeps throwing them under the bus. It's not going to help their confidence at all. I mean, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. Oh, and then how could I forget this matchup? Who would have thought in week 8 this would be a marquee matchup, but it is. Giants at Seahawks. That's a big game. The Giants are 6-1. The Seahawks are 4-3. They're at home. They're favored by 3. The home 3-point favorite, the classic. You guys are equal teams, but the home team is going to get 3 points. That's what that says. So if this was a neutral site game, it would be a pick 'em, right? So yeah, that's a big game, man. The Eagles are playing the Steelers. They should remain undefeated. They're 11-point favorites as well. The Battle of Pennsylvania. I don't think it'll be much of a battle. I think it's going to be pretty hard for that Pittsburgh offense to do anything against this Eagles defense. I mean, they're stout at every level. They're stout. So looking at the landscape here, man, and those games I mentioned, I like the Vikings over the Cardinals at home. I think it'll be a close game, but I just think too much Justin Jefferson in that one. I like the Niners over the Rams. The fact the Niners are favorites on the road against the Rams tells you everything you need to know about this matchup. The Niners are the better team. They own the Rams historically over the past, 3 or 4 years, minus, the playoff game last year. And they should have won that game as well. But, Jimmy G did Jimmy G things. Giants, Seahawks. I like the Seahawks at home here. The Giants are due for a loss. I mean, the way they're winning these games is really unparalleled. Because if you look at the stats after the game, nothing looks impressive. But they find a way to get a timely turnover or just something abnormal happens. They find a way to stay within striking distance, which you have to give credit to Brian Dable and the new regime there in New York. Daniel Jones won NFC Player of the Week, so he's been playing good football, especially with his legs as well as a weapon. So give the Giants credit for putting themselves in position. So when they do get that game-changing turnover or anything that can just alter the momentum of a game, that they're in position to take the lead and hold on to it. So give them props for hanging around. But I think in Seattle, it's going to be a rocking crowd. They're 4-3. Nobody even had them probably even winning 4 games all year. Geno Smith looks amazing. They just blew out the Chargers in LA. I think they take care of business at home. Giants are traveling all the way across the country. We know how that normally works. So give me the Giants. Give me the Seahawks. And I'll take the 3 points as well. And then Packers Bills. How can I pick against the Bills in this spot? Coming off a bye week, extra time to prepare. You're at home in Orchard Park, Sunday night football. Aaron Rodgers in town and the struggling Packers. The bigger question is, will the Bills cover the 11 points? I'm hesitant on that. I think this game could actually be closer than people think. The Packers are desperate. They're 3-4. You don't want to fall to 3-5. It's been a lot of chatter surrounding this team and, the state of them and where they're at. So I like the Bills to win, but give me Packers plus 11 here. I just can't go against, even though they've been looking terrible, I just can't consciously say go against Aaron Rodgers when you're giving him 11 points. I just can't. I can't confidently do that. So that's where I stand there. Packers will fall to 3-5. I think the Vikings are going to run away with that division. I said it before the year that the Vikings would win the NFC North. I didn't think it would start looking like this to where they could potentially run away with it and be up 3 games after week 8, because I have the Vikings beating the Cardinals and the Packers losing to Buffalo. But I still think ultimately the Packers will get a wild card. The NFC is wide open. They can sneak in as a 6 or a 7 seed. It wouldn't surprise me one bit at all. So that's where I stand on the NFL this week. Yeah. Now, let's get to the NBA. And I just want to specifically talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. They're 0-4 right now as of this recording. Probably are 0-5 if you're listening tomorrow, Saturday, or after that. They're probably 0-5 now because they play the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. Russell Westbrook is back, but he's coming off the bench, which is something I've been clamoring for. But unfortunately, I don't think it changes the needle or moves the needle that much. Because at the end of the day, you still don't have shooters. And the Lakers just aren't the worst shooting team in the league right now. They are one of the worst shooting teams of all time after 4 games. They are shooting historically bad. Historically bad. like 20% from three bad. If they just shot 30% to this point, which is still well below league average, they would be 2-2 right now. They would have beat the Clippers and they would have closed it out against the Blazers. But since they're shooting historically bad, they're 0-4. But Mark, hold on. It's only game 4. There's 78 more games to go. So are you telling me that Westbrook, Lonnie Walker, uh, Anthony Davis, LeBron, those guys, Patrick Beverly, are just going to become great shooters overnight? Like that's just going to change right now all of a sudden? No, it's not. It's not changing. Nothing is going to change for this Lakers team until they make a trade, a good trade, and bring in shooting. Like if they were to make the Indiana deal, you bring in Buddy Hield, who's a good shooter, and Miles Turner, who's a capable shooter for a big man. You get dramatically better from shooting just off those two guys alone because you're already so historically bad. You can only go up at this point. My gosh. So that's where I stand. And they can't wait too long to make a deal. You don't want to get too buried in the West. You're already 0-4. You need to make the deal now or tomorrow or yesterday. So we'll see what happens. I find it hard to believe they're going to run with this roster as currently constructed all season long. But like I said, you have to make a move now. You can't wait. You have to make it now. Because like I said, you don't want to get too buried in the standings where you can't recover. Now, luckily, the NBA added this play-in. So now the top 10 teams in your conference have a chance to make the playoffs with the play-in, right? But even then, the West is so deep. You keep losing games, you won't even be in the top 10. It's that bad right now. It's that bad. LeBron doesn't look like the same LeBron. He's still really good, but obviously he can't carry a team like he used to. Anthony Davis you just never know what you're going to get from him, especially health-wise. Saw him holding his back. It's hard to rely on a guy to be the number one when he's always getting nicked up, right? I mean, hobbling around the court is tough, man. It's really tough. So that's where they stand right now. I mean, hopefully for the city of Los Angeles, things can get better. Because if not, it's going to be another long season. I mean, the city already had to deal with the Dodgers choking once again in the playoffs. The Rams look cooked. The Clippers, will Kawhi ever play a basketball again? And then the Lakers. I mean, it's rough. It's rough for the city of LA sports wise right now. There's no denying that. But before I get out of here, I want to double back to NFL real quick. I want to give my MVP candidates. And I think really there's only 3. And I think it's fitting because the 3 are all on the only 3 great teams in the league right now. And that's Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs, Josh Allen on the Bills, and Jalen Hurts on the Eagles. I think those are the only three great teams right now in football. It's been a lot of bad football this year so far. A lot of bad football. I'm not sure what it is, but it's been bad. It's been really, really bad. But I think right now the leader in the clubhouse has to be Josh Allen, considering him and Mahomes' numbers are pretty much identical, and he had a bye week already, and then he beat Patrick Mahomes head to head in Arrowhead. I think you have to give him the edge for right now. Mahomes number 2, Jalen Hurts number 3. And the reason Jalen Hurts is 3, his stats aren't good enough. We know the MVP is about stats. Obviously, winning matters too, and that's why he's in the top 3. But if you had the stats plus the winning, he'll be number 1 without question. And I know he has the running touchdowns and stuff. I get that. But as a quarterback, they look at your passing touchdowns mainly when you're talking about MVP. We know that, right? And he only has 6 passing touchdowns already. Only 6 halfway through the season. It's not good enough. It's not good enough when you got Mahomes and Allen with 20 and 19 passing touchdowns, right? And you only have 6. It's not good enough, man. It's not good enough. But thank you guys for tuning in for another special episode of Mark My Words. I'll be back next week. Talk some more football. Will the Lakers have a win by the time I'm back next week? That remains to be seen. You guys be safe out there. Have a good weekend. I'm out.